Hey, Chris from the Mighty Decibel here. Welcome back. This episode, we're going to be introducing a new series simply called Let's Meet. And today, for our inaugural episode, we'll be meeting with Cheryl Schindler, the label owner of Witcher's Brew and Barbarian Wrath. So, welcome, Cheryl.
Hi, thank you. Hello, everybody.
Thanks for joining us. So before we jump into your labels, I thought let's find out a little bit more about you. So how old were you when you started getting into music, and what type of music were you getting into, and how has your taste evolved over time?
Well, I first started listening to metal in 1984. I used to listen to a metal radio show in the United States on Saturdays, and they played a lot of interesting stuff, but I didn't know much about it. And I heard Metallica, a song from Metallica, and I was blown away. So then I suddenly became addicted to thrash metal.
Oh, you're a thrasher at heart, are you? Okay.
Oh, yes. Yep. And still being a thrasher at heart at almost 49 soon, next month.
Any other extreme metal genres that you're into, or are you specifically into thrash?
Death metal. Death metal is my second favorite. Progressive metal, I'm a little bit more picky about. Power metal, US power metal especially, like Jag Panzer and stuff like that, I really like. But thrash metal has always just been my thing.
Never got into black metal?
That one is also, I'm very picky about that one. There's only very few bands that I allow into the collection.
All right.
Kind of skip the whole Norwegian thing. It's never really been my thing, but
yeah. I'm of the vintage where I got involved right from the beginning in the first wave, when Venom's first album came out and onwards. So yeah.
Venom's allowed. Definitely Venom is allowed. Every Sunday I have to listen to Venom because Sunday's perfect for listening to Venom.
An FU to the world, yeah.
Exactly.
Did you have you played any instruments, or do you sing, or have you been part of a band?
Not really, no. I tried to learn guitar when I was a teenager, and I just didn't have the discipline to keep at it.
Yeah.
So I let that go. And now I'm with my now husband, and he's teaching me a little bit bass and stuff like that. And he's a musician, so it's rubbing off a little bit.
Yeah.
We even have a little home studio here, and he has one main band and a couple others, and just teaches me some stuff.
So there's hope yet? You might be part of a band?
You never know. There might be a one-woman thrash metal band, a bedroom thrash metal band.
Instrumental, maybe.
Yeah, and maybe I might sing, and then I'll use a computer to fix it.
Yeah. So I understand that you started an online zine called The Metal Gospel in 1998. So is that really your entrance into the music business at that point, was in when you introduced that zine?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about it. Why did you do it? What is the type of music you were covering, and what were your goals?
Well, I actually had been reading some other zines, and I just wanted to do something different because they were covering all of the mainstream stuff back then, like from the major labels. And I wanted to do something where I covered more underground stuff and supported these kinds of bands, because at that time from 1995 to 98, nobody was really doing that, or I just wasn't aware of it. So I decided to start that, and I just wanted to have a different kind of atmosphere where we actually reviewed stuff that we bought, and just supported these underground bands that nobody really knew about.
And were they, was it geographical based, or was it international? You were covering bands from all over the world? Like, what was the focus?
Yeah, basically all over the world. Mostly Europe. Back then it was mostly Europe and North America. And I got to know a lot of bands through this, and covered especially a lot of the US power metal, underground death metal bands, any kind of thrash metal bands that were around and weren't getting coverage. and it was just fun. It was also, I wanted to learn how to build a website. And back then it was GeoCities, the free hosting thing. And I gave that a go.
Yeah.
And did some simple HTML, and it was really loads of fun. And eventually I got some other people to take part, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Actually.
That always helps. It's hard to do everything yourself.
Yeah, definitely. I never really asked people to send stuff, but then I started to get an overwhelmingly amount of stuff from bands all over the world then. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't do it all myself, because if you listen to 20 albums and you have to review 20 albums, then your head explodes.
Yeah. Then you're not making any sense whatsoever on any of them.
Basically, you're saying a death metal band sounds like a thrash metal band, and then it starts to get all confusing, and you run out of words or any way to describe something. Yeah.
So in retrospect, starting a zine is probably a good idea, because the amount of money it takes to set it up isn't that much to start it up. Yeah. As you said, you just, you learn some skills about setting up a website. Yeah. And then over time, the music starts coming in. So you're getting that for free after a while. What would you say was the biggest challenge for you over that? I guess you ran from 98 to 2005, I understand?
Exactly.
Yeah. So what were the challenges? What were the pros, and why'd you stop?
Well, the challenge mainly was to keep it updated regularly, because I've just always had jobs where I didn't have a lot of time to devote to it. And and then as HTML changed also, I mean, it started already changing back then, and I just couldn't keep up with all the weird CSS, and my head was exploding again about that. Yeah. And I started to get burned out from reviewing stuff, because then even major labels started sending me stuff. I don't know why, but it happened, and it was just too much. And I was getting so much stuff and trying to mail it out to other reviewers, and also chasing after. That's one of the biggest challenges, is chasing after the people taking part. I need to update the website. Where's your review? I will have it to you by tomorrow. Then tomorrow comes, and and I understand that also most of the people that were taking part were also my age, so they were busy, and I totally understand that. But it just got to be too much. And then in 2005, I decided I can't do this anymore. I wasn't having fun anymore. It just started to be a job, and not a hobby. So I said, nah, not anymore.
Well, think about if you were actually a print zine, that's even worse, right? Imagine the time constraints, and you couldn't wait for somebody to give it the next day if you wanted to package it and send it out, right? Yeah, so
that's a lot more complicated. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I decided not to even try some kind of print zine or something like that, because it's way more expensive, and I really respect people who still do that nowadays. But it's definitely not something that I would even have the time for.
Right. So between 2005, after 2005, until you started up Witch's Brew, was there something else going on musically with you, or was Witch's Brew the next thing in your musical endeavors?
Well, actually, I started Witch's Brew in 2002 because of the zine. I was getting really good demos and everything from bands, and then my husband back then, who ran Barbarian, was running his own label, and it inspired me. So I said, I think I will start one too, because he was the black metal guy and I was the thrash metal and death metal person. So I said, oh, hey, I get my tastes out, and then we combine our forces, and then we have this total coverage of metal going
underground
on. Underground metal. And so I started that. It's pretty funny.
So for those people aspiring to become label owners, what does it take to become one? From a legal perspective, from a time, from a financial, you don't have to be specific, of course, but just give a general idea. Like you had your husband who had a label already starting up, so you could sort of piggyback on him, I guess, from a legal side and the connections on how to get CDs printed and everything else. How does that work? How does somebody get into the label business?
Oh, well, that definitely helps that he was already doing it. And when I moved to Germany from Rhode Island, I was actually doing his label, mostly doing the promotion and packaging and shipping out orders. So I learned how to do this kind of stuff and where he prints it and how to do layouts and stuff like that. So it was, I already had a leg up on how to do it. And for me, it's always just been a hobby. It's not really a business. I mean, it's actually financially very draining to run a label. And I'm okay with that because it's my passion. So, I mean, if people buy this stuff, that's great.
When you say it's draining, meaning that there'll be times that you'll be in the red and other times you'll be in the black and you go back and forth, or is it actually a money-losing venture for you?
I would say from 2002 up until, let's say, up until 2013, it was basically a minus the whole time. I basically spent whatever money I earned from my job to do it and help out bands. It's just something I like to do. It's like throwing money out the window, but it's for a good cause.
But your record collection is getting really nice, though.
Yeah, you can do a lot of trading. So I've increased my my CD racks look like yours. I have the same ones, actually.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of trading. So in essence, maybe it's not totally waste because I help out bands, and it's working with them has been a lot of fun 90% of the time.
So have you thought about getting into tapes and or vinyl?
Tapes, definitely not, because I just don't know where to print them, and I don't have any customers. The customer base I have right now is either they're buying digital from the Bandcamp or physical. Vinyl, I have printed some, but the times have changed so bad now, and the turnaround time, I mean, 9 months, that's a long time, and you have to put up over 2,000 euros up front, and you don't get to sell anything until 9 months later. So it's, and this kind of money I don't have to throw out the window. A CD print, it's okay. I can do that. I can front that up if I have to. But since reforming again, it's going well. I cannot complain.
Do you generally do it in batches of 100, 200 sort of thing for most bands?
CDs, I print 500, and vinyl, when I do vinyl versions of something, I usually do 300.
Okay.
300.
So are you sticking with the thrash and death mostly for your Witch's Brew label?
Yeah, well, actually, no, I've got some really awesome power metal. Oh, Steel Balls, can't read it, but anyway. Yeah, I mean, just regular heavy metal, traditional stuff I really like. So it seems to be a lot of thrash because that's where my heart's at. But I've got death metal and some traditional heavy speed metal going on.
Yeah, there was a couple that came out recently that caught my eye that I reached out to you, was the Faust and the Insulter. I enjoyed those two. Those are the ones that really caught my attention. Yeah. So in retrospect, would you start up the label knowing what you know now? That's point one. And point two, have you met your goals up to this point?
For the first part, I probably would just do it again because that's how I go. Even if it doesn't go well, I don't give up. I just keep doing it because it's my passion. I love to release stuff. And even if I could break even, I'm happy about that. If not, I just do it anyway. What was the second part there?
Well, that we said about the doing it again, and geez, I even forget now. I was already moving on to the next one. Sorry.
I forgot also.
So it's not like you're signing bands, right? Is it like you receive music from bands, independent bands that haven't been signed by labels, and then you agree to send out the CDs, or do you actually take on a management role with these bands?
I actually sign the bands. I take them onto Witch's Brew, and they can stay if they want, and if they're happy, then I mean, Insulter, I've released now the third album, so they're happy. And Steel Balls, this is also the second release. Most of these bands that I've just released recently, since reforming in 2021, are older bands that I've released stuff already. So they've always been nice to work with, and they have that same kind of attitude. That's important. So some bands that didn't work out and have left, it didn't work out because we didn't have the same idea about the whole thing. Because I can't stress enough that this really isn't a business. It's just a hobby.
Passion.
And I try to tell bands that, so they are aware that they're not going to get the world tour and the 5,000 reviews and interviews everywhere, because I just, I couldn't do that.
Right on. So do you assist in even like touring at all, or do they arrange their own tours and finances, or is that separate or part of what your services are?
I do not do any organization of tours or anything like that. I don't have the resources for such.
Yeah.
And usually the bands can get onto festivals themselves, because in their countries or wherever they're from, or they even come from South America and they tour here, and they just do it themselves. I think it's actually better to do it that way, because I mean, it costs to rent a venue here probably like 500 euros, and I just don't have these kinds of finances. And I just let bands know that. They already know that up front, so they're okay with it.
Right on. So why don't we switch over to the Barbarian Wrath label? So as you said previously, it was the label run by your ex-husband. So I understand that you're starting it back up. Are you focused there on the black metal? Is it cover different music than the Witch's Brew? What are your goals? That sort of thing again.
Actually, what I'm doing there is my husband always wanted to reach 100 releases, and I want to do that for him to honor his memory. And I think he would be really proud wherever he's hanging out now, in the nether world or wherever. He would be really happy if I could achieve that. But one of the things is, without him being there anymore, I can't sign new bands, because that was his thing. So what I'm doing is I'm releasing stuff from bands that were on the label already, who are willing to, who aren't signed to another label since the demise of Barbarian Wrath. But right now I'm working, keeping it under the blanket here, but I'm working on getting some of the older bands to record new albums so we can reach that goal. But there won't be any new bands, because that was his essence in his label, and it would be wrong for me, even though I know very well what he likes, it would be very wrong of me to sign new bands there. So hopefully I can just animate some of his older bands to record new albums. I'm poking at them all the time. Hey guy, come on, where's the album?
I'm here. Yeah.
Yep, I'm here, I'm back.
So any specific albums that you can update us with that are going to be coming out soon on either label?
I've got the Claw. This is speed black thrash from Germany. That's in print right now. I should have those next week, hopefully. And on Barbarian Wrath, I've got the Bloodstorm in print. That was one of his favorite bands. So
is that a new Bloodstorm or
this
a
is
new
brand
record?
new Bloodstorm, and it's really, I've said it a million times, but it makes my head explode. It's so awesome. It's really great. And that should be also being delivered next week or the week after. And as far as any others on Barbarian Wrath, I can't say, because I haven't finalized anything yet, and I wouldn't want to say, hey, there's going to be a new this, and then it doesn't happen, and now it's on the internet, so it must happen. Oh, wait a minute, it's a good idea. We could do that. We could force them. Okay, the new, no. Anyway, so, but for Witch's Brew, I've got also coming up the Fatal Punishment album. That's thrash as well. Surprise, it's thrash. What else have we got? Let me think for a minute. What was the other one? Dang. I can't think of it right now. I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, it'll come up to you as soon as we sign off here.
Yes, exactly. I just call you back really quickly. Oh, it was this. Edit that into this many minutes.
Yeah. So what's next for you? Do you see yourself continuing on with both labels in 5 years?
I think so. I want to see where it goes. I mean, since coming back, I mean, I closed in 2018 because my husband was in a coma and I couldn't deal with it. It was like 2 labels and I was working full time and I was also caring for him. So I couldn't do it. So I ended it. And then in 2021, I don't know, I was sitting around going, I got to do the label again. But I could see in 5 years, I probably will still be doing it. As long as I'm alive, I probably will do it.
Well, when you've got the bite in you, you gotta, itch that scratch.
Yeah.
I know how it is. I'm the same as you. I have no talent whatsoever musically, but I love music, and my way of doing it was I started in reviewing albums like yourself, and then starting up your own website, exact same as you. But the label thing I haven't got into yet. I'm interested.
There you go. That's the next step, by the way.
Maybe. I don't know what my wife would say about that.
It wouldn't be a problem. Just tell her she has to get at the house next door when you do music.
Yeah.
But Oh, I just wanted to say something and it went away again. Yeah, it's just once it's in you, it's in you. And I always say that those that can't play music do labels.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, maybe my man can teach me how to play bass or something, and I can.
And we'll all see you on the road.
Maybe. I don't think so. I'm not a live person. Maybe I do like a living room concert. I just pop open a video and record.
Well, they've been big over the last couple of years.
Oh, that's true. That's true. The COVID variant.
That's right. Well, can you tell the folks where they can find your albums?
Okay, so Witches Brew, you can find witchesbrewthrashes.bandcamp.com or our Facebook page, but I don't know the URL because it's one of those weird long thingies. So just look under Witches Brew. It should be easy to find for people.
I found it today. It was easy. I just put in Witches Brew label, I think, and it popped right up.
Yeah, exactly. It pops up. And Barbarian Wrath is the same. It's barbarianwrath.bandcamp.com as well. If people do not want to order CDs through Bandcamp, because not everybody uses that, you can always order from me per email, which is brewthrashes@hotmail.com. I can send them a complete list of what I have. Or check the Facebook. You can order through Facebook as well, because I know some people write to me and they say, "Oh, you only have a Bandcamp, no shop." I said, no shop, because I don't want to pay for web space.
Right on.
And Bandcamp works well.
I think you can sell through Discogs too, right?
Yeah, I do. I am not a fan of Discogs. I think Discogs has ruined it for a lot of people who want to buy albums at a reasonable price. I think it's unfair of people to sell stuff on eBay and Discogs and hike the price up just because it's limited or something like that. Music should be for everybody, and it should be affordable for everybody. And I mean, of course, I could be altruistic and give it away for free, but I also sort of need to get my the money back from the print costs. So yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, and everybody else here who's listening or watching. Thank you as well. And remember to check in at our website, www.themightydecibel.com. Have a great one. Bye.
Also, Prost.